So yeah, this is Macro Dungeon Crawl Gold for Nintendo Switch. I wanted to try something different instead of just doing a full-on review. Basically, I kind of wanted to give a little bit of a first impression, not a first impression, but something of an impressions video slash review. Because I've been playing the game for, I think, 8 hours or so. So I'm not sure if I'm actually going to finish it. 9 hours, nine and a half hours. So I kind of wanted to see if I actually want to, I don't know if I'm going to actually review it in total, if I'm actually going to finish it. I don't know if I'm enjoying it enough or not. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to do a quick impressions video. So basically, this is a dungeon crawling RPG, as the title implies. You have this big, massive HUD city where basically you walk around. You either have guests, as you can see here, a person that I met on the internet. They joined my lobby, well, my map. They can give me items. I can change their profile. I can take them as a guest into any sort of quest, or basically I can look for. If you look on the right side of on the screen, there's like a yellow button, a yellow point, a couple of gray ones. If you find a green one, you basically, those are quest givers, and the game is divided in chapters, and each chapter has like a different set of quests available to you. So finding people that give you quests and moving forward in the story is pretty much kind of like the main thing you do. So if you actually press the R button, you have a side quest and main quest. And the main quests are like, chapter based, like I said. You go into a specific area, you kill a couple of enemies, you come back out into the overworld. Side quests you can actually do online, so they're divided in like beginner, intermediate, and I imagine hard. I haven't gotten to the hard ones yet. So you basically just pick a quest and you go into the dungeon. It's pretty straightforward. A lot of people are comparing this game to Minecraft Dungeons, which is very, let's say, Diablo-like, where Diablo Light probably is a better description of it, where you can just basically kill a whole bunch of enemies, get some loot, go back into the main world, rinse and repeat. Pretty straightforward stuff. The issues that I've seen with this game so far is that it throws a whole bunch of lingo and words and features that aren't really explained fully, and I don't know if it helps or makes the story worse. So for example, if you look on the bottom right, you have L, R, X, and Y. So the Y button gives you all these like mini options. You have like music and something about getting items, configuration, movies, and like an auction system, but you can only use locally, which is like one of the key things in this game. Is like there's a lot of mechanics on top of other mechanics, but they're kind of like how do I say this? Limited in their own nature for no good reason. So for example, this trading system, you can only trade with friends or locally, but you can't trade online. So there's no real reason for you to actually trade anything, because unless you know people in real life that have the game, there's no benefit to that. You have like a profile that you can make and like very basic stuff, but it's also very limited. So if you go into your inventory, you have like all these items, and every single one of them has a description and an effect, but you get so many of these things that you kind of just begin to grow numb every time you get a new item in a quest, because there's just so many of them. You have your items, which are your weapons, which are your jaras. So these are like a toy system, where in Japan, actually, when the game came out, they were like gacha systems. So like, those machines, like you put a couple of quarters in and you get a toy back in like a little capsule. That's basically what these little things were. There were hundreds of them available in Japan. And in the game, they're represented in the same way. So you would actually scan the little toys from the machines into the NFC, like with the Switch, and you'll be able to get the weapon in the game naturally. So you keep getting these like weapons or whatever in the game, that are basically just toys, and you can like put them in your keychain, and then those are your 6 items that you carry with your 6 weapons that you carry with you at all times. They can be shields, they can be like bows, they can be, you know, spears, whatever. And then you have like 2 healing items, whether they're like buffs or healing items, that's really up to you. Your gear is basically whatever it is that you end up crafting. You don't get gear, as far as I'm aware, from any sort of quest or a dungeon. You make everything that you wear. And then you have these 2 sets of gear, which is like the gear that you put on for like hunting and the gear you put on to like show off. I don't actually understand what the hell is the difference between either one. You would imagine that you want like better defense or better attack for like depending on the gear that you have, but then in some quests they ask you to wear like the cool gear, and it has like companies like attached to each gear. So like think of like Splatoon, where like there's like a fake company behind whatever piece of whatever t-shirt you're wearing has like a company tied to it. Well, this game does something very similar to that, so I'm guessing it's tied to that. Again, like there's a fabrication system where you can just basically make all these different sets of entire just outfits. There's just one piece of gear. There's no like head or like chest or gloves or boots or pants. It's just one entire set. And every time you want to craft something, you have to get this like one rare item. So if you look on the right side of the screen, for example, there's like a green patch with white lines across it. Those are really hard to come by. So like every single one, the first item that you see, like that one, green eye, safety plug, like those, the first item in every single item every item set you're gonna craft is super rare to find. So you run into this thing where like, and I'll get to that in a minute when I talk about the leveling system, which is just bizarre. You almost never find the rare item that you need, because it's almost a gacha system. It's almost like the game wants you to just keep playing over and over and over to be able to just craft the item that you want, which is extremely frustrating. And this is the fortification, which is basically the upgrade system. So you basically have the key, the items, the weapons exactly that you're using, and you can fortify them right here. And basically what you got to do is that in order for me to upgrade this bow, this specific bow, I need to find another bow that is just like it, or buy it from a store, which are super rare. Like they randomly just appear on the shop when you go to the store to buy. You need to get another bow that is just like it to be able to just upgrade this one. I can't just find a better bow. Every single bow that I find is gonna have, like if you look on the right side of the screen, the stats are gonna be the same. The only difference is gonna be this thing called Banes in the middle side of the screen if you're looking at it on the right, where it's like, oh, it has higher damage to like shadow monsters, or you can help you heal better, or like a passive buff. Every bow that you find has different like banes and passives, but they all start at the same strength. So for example, I find another bow that looks completely more powerful than this one, still as powerful as the first one that I have, but it just looks different and it has different passives. Then in order for me to be able to upgrade that one, I need to find another version of that same bow, craft a higher tier 1 from that bow, and then just keep going. So it goes to like tier 6, I believe. Every single weapon that you find, it goes up to tier 6. So you need to find technically 6 versions of that same bow in order to be able to craft a, let's say, maximum level version of that bow, which is just ridiculous that you have to find 6 versions of it. Now technically the game suggests to you that you can go into quests, and this is where, again, if you look on the bottom right of the screen, press the R button, it takes you to the quest, and every single one of the quests has a grand prize. If you look in the middle of the screen, and it says you can get this oaken bow from this specific quest. So you go into the quest thinking, hey, I might be able to get this really cool looking bow. Problem is, it's a gacha system, again, because it's just random. So you go in and you get a whole bunch of like one of those items that I linked earlier, that I showed earlier. Yeah, like one of these foods or whatever. So you end up getting like 8 different one of those, but you never actually get the bow that you went into the quest for. So nothing is ever guaranteed in any of the quests that you do. Even when it says encounter enemies that you might end up seeing, there's no actual guarantee those enemies are going to show up. They're all randomly tiled and they're all randomly based on every single quest. So, it changes depending on the quest that you're going in. The monsters that you're seeing right there are actually tied. I know, like, if you actually just join into the stream, like, you're confused as to what the hell I'm even saying, because it's like there's so many systems. Again, this game is all about systems on top of systems on top of systems. They're just like exhausting, but it's just kind of what it is. If you press the left side of the D-pad, it takes you to this other option, which are called snacks. And the snacks are basically your assistants that you have with you to take into any sort of quest. So, for example, I have these main 2 attackers. They have like different passives. So like they're attackers, they're defenders, they're supportives. There's like trappers. Think of them like the Meowsers and Monster Hunter. They're just kind of like little assistants that they come with you and they attack the enemies, like, and they kind of draw aggro away from you. That's basically what these things are. Every single monster you come across in the game, you can actually have as an assistant. So that's kind of cool in like its very own way. You have ones that are like really rare, like those that you get like automatically, but then like other ones you just get from like just randomly killing monsters over and over. So these are the ones that I have right now. But in order for me to be able to get these little assistants, every single one of them, I had to find that monster in the game and then kill it about 15 different times. And then I'd be able to recruit it, have a version of it, take a picture of it, and then it becomes part of my party. And by taking a picture, I don't mean like actually pressing the snap button feature on like the Switch. It's just like an option that shows up on screen. You press the A button, takes a picture of it in game, and then it naturally just, it gives you a version of that monster as your assistant. You could also have people who helped you in a quest just automatically become partners of you, and you can bring them into quest. So that's another thing. It's a neat idea. They also get stronger. If you actually look on the top middle of the screen, this says report. You can actually have 3 hearts, and the first one that I have, this guy right here, has 3 report. So if you actually get them to be like super friendly with you, and like being super friendly, you basically just take them with you on every quest. If you take them with you on every quest and they become friendly, they unleash like massive attacks that just kill everything. Like every single enemy that I've come across and I've seen them do their attacks, they get super powerful attacks and they just crush everything. So you kind of want them to be powerful, but at the same time, in order to be able to have like 3 hearts in your assistants, it's kind of a pain in the ass. Is that everything? At least the basics in town before I actually go into combat, which I haven't even talked about. Oh yeah, you have online as well. Online is very bare bones. You have like local play. You can go online and basically it just kind of throws you into a lobby search where there's like sometimes there's just 1 person. If you refresh, there's like 6. There's no like, hey, there's like 6 different lobbies and you can pick whatever quest is available or anything. There's nobody on right now. There's only 1 person on apparently. It's not a good look. Earlier when I was playing, there's a whole bunch of people working, so maybe it's the hours, I'm not sure. Yeah, somebody on. So anyways, it usually throws you into a search. You'll find a lobby, and then there's like this person picked this quest to do, and then either you agree or disagree. If you disagree, you gotta leave because you can't ask them to change. There's no like typing or anything into like, hey, change the quest. I want to do a different quest. There's none of that. So it's kind of weird. You do have also the option to move into any sort of the store. So for example, this is what. What's this one? Is this the store to buy? Yeah. So that's the weapon shop. Like I can manually go into the weapon shop if I want, or I can like automatically go into the weapon shop through the menu, and it'll automatically take me there. That's like good for like moving around the city fairly fast. So I think that's everything. Basically, okay, so the story of the game is like, again, completely irrelevant. You have this king who has a daughter, and she kind of basically is a spoiled brat, and she wants everything. She's just like constantly just keep asking for things from her father, the king. So you are just a random adventurer, just kind of showed up, and the king's like, hey, you're an adventurer, why don't you go do this for me? And then he just sends you out and gives you quests, and then just basically asks you to go do things. It's pretty straightforward. It's nothing crazy about it. So I actually want to do a slightly easier quest, just so I can probably talk through it.
Okay, let's go then!
So you have this robot. The robot's assisting me. I have my 2 assistants and then my character. And then it just automatically takes you to the loading screen to go do the quest. The game's kind of like pretty fast in that regard. It doesn't, like, loading times aren't like a thing. So combat. Okay. So you have X button, which is just basically combo attacks. They all combo into each other. Pretty basic stuff, like 3 attacks. And then you have an X, which is like the special attack. So after you do 3, and then you do another extra attack based on the
just for you.
Basically, your assistants, if they're powerful enough, they can just kind of kill everything and just like basically just get free loot. It all depends on that. The weapons that you have tied to you are. That's here. Okay. If we press the right side of the D-pad, you have your weapons, which are the keychains that I mentioned earlier. You have like depends on the weapon that you bring with you. It's completely, it changes based on your loadout. So it's gonna completely look different for a different person or whatever. You have ranged weapons. I don't have a bow, but you just have the bow with you. A different sword.
You had this coming!
And then the shield that I have attached. The shield is like L2, R2, ZL. Yeah, ZL on Switch. You could just hold that. And then ZR or R2 basically on PlayStation. This is not a PlayStation game, but I always think of it like a PlayStation 3. ZR is like the Switch weapon. If you look on the bottom right, on the bottom left side of the screen, there's the HP bar, and then there's a JP bar. The more you swing a weapon in mid-combat, not outside of combat, but in mid-combat, your JP bar will lower. The lower your bar gets, eventually you kind of run out of stamina. That's kind of like a stamina bar. If you run out, your weapon basically is just kind of worthless. It can't attack. It doesn't do any damage. It's pointless. So you have to switch to a different weapon, and then it's lowering right now. Like the more that I attack with it, the more the weapon just basically kind of becomes weaker over time. And then every single weapon does this. You just run out of stamina, and then you kind of just are forced to switch into a different weapon, start attacking with a different weapon. Because the stamina system just kind of repeats itself. They're just automatically forced to have to just use a different weapon. There's a dodge. There's the B button, and it's pretty like you can make it like you can extend it by like depending on the gear that you put on. You can have like a longer dodge, a shorter dodge, a more rapid refresh rate. You can't like spam it, for example. See, like right now, like I'm running out of energy, so it just kind of stands there and attacks. So I have to switch my weapon in order to start attacking again because you're running with that specific weapon. But the second that I put on a different weapon, my energy bar goes back to normal. So it's like all tied to the weapon that you have attached to you. There's like a green tab. Like if you look on the map on the right side of the screen, there's like this person right here, and they're basically like, oh, I'll give you an item or whatever. And they'll give me an item. Sometimes they'll ask me to challenge me. It's usually people you've already met in the game that you ask for a challenge or whatever. It's kind of random. Again, it's like dungeon crawling kind of aspect of it. But depending on how they are, because they're all different, they might ask you to help them kill this one specific enemy. They might just randomly give you an item. Sometimes they'll challenge you, whatever it might be. Another thing is that in order to, see, like I'm running out of energy on this weapon, so she just kind of swings and then he runs. So I have to switch my weapon. Level up. Looks like a leveling system. I have to switch my weapon and then I'm good again, but then for a certain amount of time because some weapons, depending on the damage that they do, they'll run out of fast. So right now, I basically killed everything that was supposed to be killed, but the quest is not over. So the quest is asking me specifically, if you look on the map, it's saying, hey, go on the left side of the screen. There's like an area you have to go visit. There is a fast moving button, like you move normally fast, and then if you hold B, you run faster.
Princess! You little pig! You little pig!
You have
Actually, that's the system that
You little pig!
the robot is in battle.
You little pig!
And then in combat, you also have like this extra
You little
ability for every
pig.
weapon, where if you press the X and Y button, you look on the right side of the on the right bottom
You
side, you see a bar filling up slowly, and that's basically
little
hey, you can do this special combo once you basically hit the enemy in the time with the weapon you're already using.
Honey, I'm home! Oh,
There's
thank you.
that. And then when you kill an enemy, basically you get sometimes you get a chest, sometimes they'll drop a star. The star will give you like an item. The item is based on like the randomness of whatever the system is. You also have two extra buttons that I haven't mentioned. L button, which is basically it could be a heal, it could be a buff. Like for example, this perfume that I just used is basically just stats. Your stats go up. Like on the bottom side of the screen, it tells you like, hey, your stats just went up because you used the perfume, and you feel better about yourself because you smell good. So, you know. Or you have a basic heal, which is like R button for me. You can customize that again, just like your weapons that you have attached. You can just customize that at any given moment. You're not tied to anything. You find the weapon that you like, you find the item that you like, and you start using it. You know, it's not a problem. I believe activating that specific. Hey, go get this thing over there. Activate this automatically ends it. So. Probably shouldn't have finished it because there's a couple of more things that I wanted to mention regarding combat. One of them is the fact that you can't actually turn into one of the creatures that are your assistants. So, but I guess I'll talk about that in another quest. So after the quest ends, any given quest, no matter which one you're doing, you get a certain amount of money for completing it. If you look in the top right, it's the total money that you have, the quest level that was available, the name of the quest, and then you get this like. Oh, the grand prize item that you are quote-unquote able to obtain only by doing this quest. But again, there's no guarantee that you're going to get it because it's just a gotcha system. So it's just, you know, the king was talking to you, that's so you can start opening chests. And I didn't get the bow because of course I didn't. And then it shows you all the items that you collected on this specific quest. Save your item, save your character or whatever, and then it takes you back into the city.
Hey, isso acontecia.
When you started a quest, when you're given a quest, the characters will begin talking and like tell you like, hey, I need you to go into this place because of yada yada whatever. After every quest, there's a little scene like this one where like, oh, thank you for doing the thing that I asked for, and all of that.
Okay.
I will say this.
Thanks.
If you hate quips and jokes and kind of like poop humor and stuff, like poop, like straight up dookie, this is not a game for you.
Princess.
This is just really silly kids humor. Like it's just a straight up. It feels like a kids game when you're like reading the dialogue because it's using memes and like just really puns
Voice
and
recognition
humor that
failure.
I'm not crazy about. That's why I kind of don't care about the story. I don't read any of that because I'm like, I don't know. But some people definitely like this. So, you know, if like Borderlands type of humor, I think. If you like Borderlands, you're probably like this. That's kind of like the best comparison I could come up with. It's probably not the best one, but that's the one that I could come up with.
Okay.
As the king, that basically, again, his daughter is the one that, main story-wise, she's the one that has like, hey, I want this perfume. I want this ring. You get it from me. And you're kind of just like the peon being sent everywhere else to go pick up the items that she keeps demanding for. But that was the side quest, not the main quest. So I'm not sure why he was appearing there.
Thank you.
You do have an option to fast forward. You just kind of like skip all the crap if you don't care.
Alright already.
So I'm looking at the literally the first comment. It says, "Game looks good. Love Fantasy Life. I'm excited to play this." So that's actually one of the things that I kind of wanted to rant about. Is that just about every review that I saw mentioned Fantasy Life, and people are like, "Why isn't this Fantasy Life? Why isn't level 5 making Fantasy Life?" And this is, by the way, like green character on the right. If you look on the right side of the map, on the right side of the screen, there's a map. A green
What's your
circle
problem?
means a quest. This person wasn't available before I went into the quest that I just did. But now that I finished this quest, it triggered another quest, for a different character. So like doing side quests and stuff like that kind of like automatically just evolves.
Never seen
the game,
flashy
gives you
shades
options
before?
to go do quests that weren't previously available. So if you're skipping the side quest and you're playing the game, you may want to actually do the side quest because there's a whole bunch of things that you actually get by just doing the side quest. Regarding the whole Fantasy Life thing, every review that I've seen complains about this is not Fantasy Life. I don't know why you thought it would have been. This game released in Japan, I want to say April, if not June, of 2018. So this is actually a 2-year-old game that is now finally releasing on Switch in the West. So people are asking for like, why isn't it Fantasy Life? It was never meant to be. This is a different franchise. So a lot of people were really upset regarding it in the reviews that I noticed. Complaining like, why isn't it that? It's like, that's a bad review to me. When you're complaining about why isn't this game another game? I'm not sure how to like, because I'm not sure who's that review helping. Like, you're just upsetting people who are Fantasy Life fans that they're not getting a Fantasy Life game, and the people who are fans of this game or like fans of the series, for example, because this has been like an anime in Japan for a while now. You're not helping them either because you're comparing one series to another, which has nothing to do with each other except they're from the same developer. So I'm not quite sure who's that review helping. But again, I don't want to rant about that.
The sands of time foretell it.
There is this fortune teller as well. She gives you items every couple of hours, I think. So you kind of want to check back and forth with her. And yeah, basically the loop is kind of like what I showed already. You go into town, you make sure you have a quest, you get a side quest, you just kind of look for. This is the problem for me. Like, there's several things that I want to mention regarding the issues with the game, but one of them is the fact that if you're looking to do the side quests, which again, they'll get you more assistance, you get more items, you get more powerful because you're getting free experience and all that kind of stuff. You have to go into town, run around like an idiot, and hopefully find one of those green circles. Find a green circle, you get an extra side quest. That's kind of a pain in the ass if you have to do that a couple of times every chapter. The game is divided into chapters, and let's say there's 6 quests per chapter, main quests per chapter. You do that the first time you go into the chapter, by the end of the 3rd or 4th quest, and then right before the final quest of the chapter, you want to do it again. So you're just running around town 3 times, maybe 2 times per chapter, per every single chapter for however many chapters there are. Because the game suggests to you, hey, go do this, go talk to people, get a side quest so you can get more stuff. It's kind of stupid. Instead of them putting them in like a quest board or something, like, hey, such and such person wants to talk to you, go over there. They'll be triggered on the right side of the map automatically, and then you could just know who to talk to. Instead of just randomly running in the middle. Personally, I find that it's just a waste of time. But that's just me ranting for no reason. Well, I'm glad you don't think that you're not looking for Fantasy Life, because that's not what this is. This is just a completely different game. So, let's go do that side quest I was just getting. The snake person gave me. 23. So you, based on the levels, I usually like to have a pretty good idea of what the quests are. Because it says right there, like on the right side of the screen, outlook good. If you do any sort of quest that says fair or bad, you're probably going to fail. Because the enemies will gang up on you and just kick your ass. So you kind of are always looking to do quests that are within the level that you are. Because, again, I talked about this a couple of minutes ago. because the game forces you to level up your weapons, and it's kind of hard. Actually, I should probably show that. So let me go into the weapon shop and see what they have in the weapon shop that I can buy. So then I can upgrade them. See, like, they don't have any battle axes, which are the weapon that I've been like trying to upgrade, and they don't have the perfume, which are the other like items that I've been using. So let's buy a bow. This is just a very basic bow. No, I do not want to equip it. Okay. So I bought a bow. Now I'm gonna go into my fortification, and they should tell me when I reach the bow, hey, you can fortify your level 1 bow, because I just bought another one. So I have 2 copies of it. So I'm gonna fortify my bow by using the first item, which is the bow that you need, and then 2 pink units, whatever that is. Those are like color based. So every item that you get has a color designation, and as many as you use for, let's say, like upgrading, it'll ask you like, you need 2 pink units. So then this bow, chances are, is gonna turn pink. And then change the color of the bow. Yes, whatever. And now that bow that I just had that was level 1, now it's level 2. And then before, if you look on the right side of the screen, it said Jara strength. Originally, it said like 90. Now it says 90 to 100. The difference is that the banes, like the passive buffs or any of those things, they haven't changed at all. The only thing that changed was the default damage that it does. So now if I want to level up that bow again, I need to go buy another bow. I don't know why she ran out of the store. I need to go ahead and buy another bow, and then basically, come on. But the problem is, there's no bows to buy, because the game just kind of randomly decides when the hell you get new items to buy. So it becomes this thing of like, I could have maxed out my battle axe already by buying just 5 different axes and then upgrading upgrading the one to the max level one. But the game just keeps handing them out whenever they feel like it, not, you know. So yeah, it's just, I don't understand why it does that. And the same thing with the armor. The armor requires these very rare pieces of gear, these very rare drops. That is just like, you know, you have to basically kill a boss or something to be able to get them, to be able to craft the items that you want. Again, it just kind of prolongs the game, and it makes it more tedious than it should be.
Thank you. Damn.
Okay, so this time I'm probably gonna show them when you turn into one of the assistants.
Damn.
See, like, that weapon was really slow. It's taken a long time for me to be able to do damage on that specific enemy. So actually attacking enemies with different weapons is kind of highly successful, because you never know what they're weak to. Not only are the enemies could be weak to one specific type of weapon, but like, again, the weapons have their own traits and benefits to each other, so you just kind of want to keep switching around. And again, every weapon has a stamina system that the second that you use that weapon a little bit too much, you're kind of they force your hand to defend it, because you kind of switch to a different weapon. So, another thing I should probably mention is the camera. So if you're looking at it like, why am I not facing this way? Well, I can't turn the camera anymore. This is as much as like, limited. That's how limited I am with the camera on this specific area. And I don't understand it. The game can give you a 360-degree turnaround camera option, but it chooses not to. Instead, it just kind of like limits your vision to one specific angle in the entire section of the map, and it changes from map to map. So, for example, like usually you have the camera forcing you to see down, so you're like things appear in front of you as you run forward, but it's usually never up. So this is actually pretty good. I like letting you see like, going up, but like it changes depending on the zone that you're in, which I just, again, you should be able to spin the camera around 360 degrees, but it just limits you. I don't know why that is. Yeah, there's like little secret things like that all the time that you'll find enemies or like items. I don't know how to get up there. Actually. You can't jump into like an area. Yeah, you can't get up there. I'm not sure how to even get up there. To get that item. Also, like one of the things that I mentioned earlier, how the game is very quippy. Like, I'm just gonna let you guys listen. He didn't say it. Every enemy, every time you kill an enemy, they say like a pun or a quippy thing regarding what they are. So that pig monster, he says, his ribs are something. Prime rib. He says something about prime rib. His ribs are prime or something. It's like, again, if you like quippy, pun, jokey things, cool. You can find them annoying after hearing them 20, 30 times. You'll see what happens.
The Polaroids can't have it melted yet! Go bam!
Bam!
You had this coming!
That dodge is really important. She's kind of like and then using your specials on like, those big enemies is good. See, like that guy died, so I needed to revive him. But one of my assistants, actually the assistants, the AI's assistants is kind of smart for reviving enemies. They do a pretty good job for reviving whenever anyone dies or whenever you die. Because you will die. The game is kind of cheap sometimes when it just throws a whole bunch of enemies. It just decides to kind of kill you. So the whole reviving thing's pretty good. You kind of just mash the A button.
Allow me to stab you!
And I just see, like right here, like the camera's locked.
Bam!
You have to heal. See, like I can't tell what the hell's going on because I can't turn the camera around the limited area. There's some decisions. This is a bad decision. I couldn't transform into the system, which is kind of what I wanted to show off. Again, the game teases you like, hey, you can get this awesome weapon. Oh, I got it that time. Nothing. See, like this one's got lightning based damage.
Hey!
Oh, beep.
I just noticed the names. The name is Pinocchio.
Hey!
And he's gelato. See, again, if you're not paying attention to the story, you just kind of miss the whole silly joke thing that they do.
Thank you.
They're still talking.
Time to strike.
Right!
Random macaroon dungeons. What? Alright. Whatever that means. I want to show off how the weapons are basically all the same. So the one that I have equipped right now, the sword, is like, 90 strength, semi-durable, with its own perks. The one that I just got right now, which is technically in any other game, hey, you're deeper into a different dungeon, you're killing higher level monsters, they'll drop higher level gear. Nope. In this game, it's the same level. It's the same like damage strength, just different modifiers. So it has more strength, it has a magic thing, it does lightning damage, but it's the same strength as the other weapon that I just had before. So it just looks different, but it's just the same damage, which I don't understand the mechanics. Like mechanically speaking, that doesn't make much sense. So this one's actually asking me to go back to a specific dungeon I did before. You also have this sort of rank that you get by basically going forward in the story. The more quests you do, the more kind of advanced you become. So yeah, you have like, think of it like Monster Hunter's HR, where the more quests you end up doing, the more enemies you have available to kill. So that's basically kind of it. This game borrows a lot of ideas from other games. I will say that.
Ooh, yeah.
And also, the way monsters look, like some of the monsters are just straight up Pokemon. There's like a Quillfish I've seen. Vileplume I've seen. They're just straight up Pokemon. They're shameless about using Pokemon ideas. Okay, so actually, see again, I had to turn the camera to be able to see that. I can actually take a picture of this monster that I just killed because I've killed it enough time to be able to recruit it into my team. So now that snack, quote unquote, assistant will become available in my main option to be able to have a whole bunch of assistants. You can farm them, like you can do like a specific quest over and over. You'll be able to recruit and have a whole bunch of like characters that you wanted to have with you. You'll be able to have.
Honey, I'm home.
Whether they're actually better than the actual finance game, who's to say?
You had this coming!
They do become, like I said, more powerful the more you have, the more you bring them with you. But I'm not sure how that impacts like end game or like. Okay, so this is, for example, a character I met in the forest, but now she's like here.
Honey, I'm home.
Oh no, it's actually another character. Kind of see her. Like I said, the other one, I believe it was one of the first quests that I showed before. It gave me like height. But this time I was like, no. Fortified. That was like, oh hey, he's pretending to be one of the other characters. So now you just kill him, get an item, move forward. I'll buff myself because I don't know what I'm about to come up against. Usually if you linger around in the dungeon for too long, you'll get this Grim Reaper. It just kind of comes over and just kicks your ass. The game doesn't want you to stick around in the dungeon for too long because it basically thinks that you're farming the enemies, like for drops or items, or because you need them, you want to recruit them to the game. So the game is very smart about like, hey, we're just gonna get you out. We're gonna get you out. We're gonna kill you or we're gonna force you out of here. So I saw a couple of reviews like complaining about the fact that there's a Reaper and basically just. But I'm like, I played Persona. There's a Reaper in Persona. That's normal. That's not a new thing. Other games are done that. Again, I keep saying, this game is doing a lot of things other games have already done. And right there is out of energy, so I have to switch my weapon. I can't see anything. Try to move the camera. Again, the camera's tough. If it was a 360-degree camera, I have no issue with it. But it's a limited camera. For some reason, it just locks itself in bad areas.
You had this coming!
Usually what I found is that notice it like not think about the weapon stamina situation. Clear out of the room, switch your weapon, use my weapon. That way you won't be thinking about,
Honey, I'm home!
hey, I ran out of stamina on my character in a bad situation. It's like, you know.
Honey, I'm home! Honey, I'm home!
See, like that big ogre guy, he just shreds people because he's got like the 3 friendship hearts or whatever. So he just shreds anything. At this point, that Reaper's about to come out, so I need to find the exit, which is right there, I think.
Welcome.
Ouch! Yeah! Ouch! Yeah!
The dungeons have this, like, depending on the floor that you're in, the game kind of does this thing where, like, hey, this is a locked door, you need to find a key for it to be able to get out. So find the key, open the door, and get the key. Sometimes they do these button things where, like, you have to find 3 buttons, press the 3 buttons that open this locked gate. And then you open and then you get the
Hey, stop that!
These are the worst ones. Because you basically have to run around through the entire dungeon and find the gate. So you find the 3 buttons. And then you get
You had this coming!
most of the other ones are just kind of like, hey, kill the enemies. Who do I recruit? There's somebody here to recruit. There was an option to recruit somebody, but it ain't there no more. Most of the time, it's just like, hey, kill this certain amount of enemies. Then you get to move on forward. But when you find these button floors, they're a pain in the ass. Usually skipping enemies for me, like, becomes more important because I need to find these buttons. To be able to get out.
Skippity stop!
So that's basically to say that there's no variety in the dungeon. Like
Sneak stop!
how it just kind of lets us proceed forward. Either kill enemies, get a key, or find the buttons. Pretty bare bones in that regard. I'm not a fan of it. There's another recruit because I've killed that little enemy enough times to basically let me recruit. At this point, I think I've already pressed all 3 buttons. Just want to. Oh, another button. 4 buttons. Okay, so that's all the buttons. Need to find the exit to leave. I don't want to kill anything else anymore. There it is. Okay, so now we get to the last part of the dungeon, which is basically whatever the boss is, whether it is the main dungeon boss or another side boss, is depending on the quest. There's this robot that basically heals you, and then he gives you the option to change your weapons if you want to change them. Usually, it's not something that I bother with. And then you go into the dungeon door, and you get ready to fight the boss. Whatever that boss, again, based on the quest, is. This is a different version of Medusa, so I assume she's stronger. And I'm actually going to switch into one of the...
Darling! Yes? What?
Finally I got to switch into one of the enemies. So basically now I'm a penguin, and the penguin is a character that I recruited before. Basically now like have the option to just basically become them. You can become any of the characters you recruited in the past. And
You're toast now.
same. Basic attack, heavy attack, and special attack. Very straightforward, and you have a timer. But the timer is like, hey, After a certain amount of time, your special ability will run out. So you basically just want to get your damage out before the game forces you to switch back. She does this thing where like she'll basically turn people into stone, petrify, or whatever. So you kind of just want to keep avoiding her.
You had this coming!
Assistance. I've never seen him summon assistance. I don't know why it's not letting me switch. I don't know what the hell that is about. Assistance is bad. She's like a rage now, so just that. Well, I don't know what the hell my assistants are doing. They're not with me, they're not healing me. They're just getting destroyed. One of them is asleep. There he comes, finally. Oh, she's doing Patrick. Yeah, quest fell. Great. That's awesome. Basically, because my assistants are just too busy not paying attention. I actually praised them earlier, saying that the assistants are smart. They usually have been, and at that time. So, yeah. Failed that quest because the assistants decided not to revive me. So, yeah. So I think that's pretty much it for everything. I think I've covered all the basics. I think that, in general, I think it's a decent game. It's a solid like 7. It's not over the top bad. It's not, because it isn't. It's not a bad game. But there's nothing necessarily great or good about it. I think the story is a bit too kiddie-ish, too childish, very jokey in this format. I think that the side quest, the way you get side quests, is a pain in the ass. Having to just basically go recruit them throughout after every quest. Like right now, I basically would have to go through the entire town to just look if there's an available side quest. There's nowhere to hey, have a quest board available right at the entrance of the town, and you could just get another quest. That would be great, but quality of life change is kind of a thing. Another thing that I also wanted to mention was that your assistants should be able to pick up items for you. If you're walking around and your assistant killed an enemy and the enemy dropped an item, you have to walk back to be able to go get that item instead of your system to be able to automatically pick it up for you. Again, quality of life changes. Like it just makes it a more pain in the ass to have to backtrack to be able to go get a item and then run forward again. It's just, again, it kind of wastes time. Overall, I think that it's a decent game. There's no real drawbacks to it. I think that for $50 you could probably do worse, but that's not to say that I would recommend it at a full price. Probably wait till I get to 30 or something like that, and then it's probably gets a full recommendation, because again, I think it's still fun. It's just, it could be better, but this is level 5, so they kind of one of the criticisms for all their games. They could be better, but they kind of aren't. So that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stick around for more.